The title of this video is Funnels. As I've told you in previous videos, funnels allow you to zoom into information. They start general and they finish specific. There are funnels everywhere in academic papers. But there's also funnels in general writing. We're going to take a little digression at some stage and look at general writing, but there are funnels everywhere in academic writing, and you need to be very sensitive about some specific funnels that I'm going to be talking to you about. As I said, the introduction, by and large, is a large funnel, but within the introduction there are also funnels themselves. The body paragraphs in an introduction and the body paragraphs in the rest of the paper operate as funnels as well, and the conclusion is a funnel upside down. Let's talk a little bit about the direction that funnels give you. When you start an introduction, the reader needs to be drawn in. They need to be hooked. What can do that? Well, a surprising fact can do it. A question, a quote, a broad summary, a bit of history, a bit of context is often used in academic papers to put you in the picture and also draw you in. It gives you a sense that this piece of work that has been done is a contribution to history, that it's framed within a broader problem, that it's made a contribution, and then it's actually made a difference. But something draws you in. What you need to understand is that the sharp end of the hook is very important. What's really going to draw the reader in? We'll get to that in a minute. Let's start by rearranging some examples to give you a sense of the difference between where the funnel starts and where the funnel ends. Take these three sentences. Universities need to help students more with academic writing. Something along those lines. At universities, assignment essays are frequently used as tasks to involve students and so forth. And poor writing skills limit students' success. So it's critical that problems are understood so that university assistant programs are adequate. Now, that's not too bad as a paragraph of sentences in itself, but look at what a rearrangement of this actually achieves. If we flip this around into a different order, have a look at this. At university, assignment essays are frequently used as assessment tasks to involve students and so on. Poor writing skills therefore limit student success in tertiary education and beyond. Universities need to provide more assistance with academic writing to students. Now the pointy end of that paragraph, the thesis, the debatable point, is actually the last sentence. You can look at that sentence in an introduction and that should give you a lot of information about the title of the paper. Are academics writing well? Could be the title of this paper. Universities need to provide more assistance with academic writing to students. Well, do they? It's a contestable point. You want to have something there at the end of that first paragraph, builds on the context, that funnels in from the broad and puts something there that piques the interest of the reader. Well, do universities need to provide more? It's debatable. Let's do another rearrangement exercise. Slightly longer example this time. Melbourne needs more police to control gangs, drug users, and so on. In high-crime neighbourhoods like his, this frequently happens. There are not enough police to protect innocent people walking home. The thief took his money, watched an iPhone. 2 years ago, John Smith was robbed at gunpoint while cycling home from university. Now clearly, and much more clearly than the previous example, these sentences are out of order. They don't really make sense in that order. In high-crime neighbourhoods like his, the second sentence, like his, we haven't introduced somebody. The like refers to something else. Linking is very important. Again in sentence 4, the thief took his money, watch and phone. Who is the his referring to? Well, you get that information in the last sentence. And the last sentence also gives you the history. And the history generally comes first. Let's flip all this around and see what sense this makes. 2 years ago, John Smith was robbed at gunpoint. The thief took his money, watch and phone. In high-crime neighbourhoods like his, there are not enough police to protect innocent people. Melbourne needs more police. You can look at that last sentence. It's contestable. It's debatable. Has Melbourne enough police? You've provided a bit of historical evidence. You've got some data. You've drawn some conclusions. You'd argue the point. Let's do another rearrangement. The writing system of raised dots was developed by Braille in 19th century France. but its success depended upon acceptance among sighted people. Although it initially met with resistance, Braille eventually became central to education and autonomy. The ideal of tactile reading was not entirely new. The invention of Braille marked a turning point in the history of disability. Now, this one isn't actually too bad in the sense of the order of it. You get a bit of history up front. Let's talk through some of the issues, but the last one doesn't seem to really fit. All of a sudden, you've gone back in time. It's talking about history again. It's not really that debatable. It doesn't really hook you and draw you in so well. Let's change the order again. The invention of Braille marked a turning point in the history of disability. The writing system was developed by Braille in 19th century France, again with the history. The idea of it wasn't new. This is what Braille is. It met with some evidence, but it became central to education and so on. And its success depended on acceptance among sighted people before the social status of blindness could truly be transformed. And this process was shaped by broader debates about disabled people's place in society. Now that's an entirely different last sentence to the other one. That's quite contestable. Did its success depend on that? Has Braille actually transformed society, both for sighted people and for blind people? But you're starting to get a sense of the order of things. There's a bit of history, maybe some definition, maybe a little bit of evidence, but then there's something pointy on the end, and that point at the end needs to be really strongly related to your title. It needs to be a little bit debatable, a little bit contestable, and it needs to draw people in. If they already know the answer to that question, why would they read the paper? So put the debate front and centre at the end of that first paragraph. Hook that reader in.